Hello, 7th grade. This is your final review for 7th grade math. The first page, like previous, is your self-reflection. Just basically trying to figure out what you feel comfortable with, what you need more help with, and so on. The next page here, we have our vocabulary review. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and defined each of those. So we have commission, a fee or percentage of total sales paid to a salesperson for their service. Gratuity, usually a voluntary sum of money, usually referred to as a tip, given to a service provider such as a waiter, waitress, taxi driver, hairdresser, etc., in addition to the base cost of the services. Markdown, a percentage decrease or reduction applied to the original selling price of an item, resulting in a lower price known as the sale price. Mark up, the amount of money added to the original cost of an item, the wholesale price, to determine its selling price. So when stores are selling you an item, they usually buy it at a certain price, then they sell it to you for a higher price so they can make a profit, and that's the markup. Percent decrease, how much a quantity has gone down in comparison to its original amount, expressed as a percentage. You see this at the store all the time, 25% off, 10% off, and such. Price increase, a way to describe how much a quantity has grown compared to its original amount, expressed as a percentage. And again, that could be 20%, 30%, 50%. Population, the entire group of people, objects, or events that a researcher wants to study or draw conclusions about. So examples that we've been talking about lately are class, school, any sort of group, a state, a city. Random sample, a subset of a population selected purely by chance, where every member of the population has an equal probability of being chosen. Sample, a smaller subset or a part of a larger group, the population that is selected for study or data collection. So we talked about trying to figure out what the perfect sample would be. So if we were talking about surveying the entire school, would a sample of just the middle school, would that work? So we're eliminating a bunch of the school, but we're just still taking that smaller group. Simple interest, the amount of money earned on a savings account or investment, or the fee paid for borrowing money. And if you remember, that is I is equal to PRT, where I is the interest that you're earning, P is your principal, that's the original amount that you are starting with. The R is the rate, and then that is usually R is usually 0 point something, 10%, 5%, some value. And then T is time. Time is always in years. So if you're talking about 6 months, your time would be 1/2. Discount, a reduction in the original price of a good or service, often expressed as a percentage known as the discount rate. We already talked about discount rate. Percentage decrease. Inference, a conclusion, a prediction, or judgment about a large population based on data collected from a smaller sample. So one of the examples that we talked about in class was which class would they like to add? So based on the sample of the survey, we can make an inference, a conclusion, a prediction about which class the majority of the students would prefer based on the survey that we have done. Original, something that exists at the beginning, serves as the first of its kind, or is completely fresh and not a copy. And representative, a small subset of a larger population that accurately reflects the characteristics, traits, and proportions of the entire group. So now that we have all of those defined, we are going to use those definitions to answer these questions. All right, so number 1, use at least 3 math or academic vocabulary terms to describe a year-end sale at a store. Underline each term. So Typically when you're talking about some sort of sale, you would have a markdown on the item. That would be the same as a percent decrease. Discount. And these are all describing the lower price. Original would describe the price before the sale. Okay, so we actually have 4 here. It only asks for 3. All right. How is a sample similar to and different from a population? So basically, the sample is part of the population. So both sample and population describe the members of a group that a person wants to study or learn more about. A population is the whole group, and the sample is one part of the group. Okay, I'll read that again. Both sample and population describe members of a group that a person wants to study. A population is the whole group, and the sample is part of the group. So this is how they're the same. This is how they're different. Number 3, how are samples and random samples similar and different? We didn't talk too much about the difference. We did touch on them a little bit, but I'll definitely go over this. So how are they similar and different? Use at least 2 math or academic vocabulary terms in your answer. Underline each term that you use. So let's see. A sample and a random sample are both parts of a larger group population. And a random sample, each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected, but in a sample that may not be true. A random sample is more likely to be representative of the population. Okay, so again, I'll read that again. A sample and a random sample are both parts of a larger group, the population. In a random sample, each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected, but in a sample, that may not be true. A random sample is more likely to be representative of the population. So there's other types of ways to get a sample. And when you do more in statistics, you'll learn more about that. But this is what you need to know for now. All right, number 4, explain commission, gratuity, and simple interest and what they have in common. We haven't defined these too much. We've worked with them a little bit, simple interest more than the rest of them. But we have talked a little bit about the other ones, more gratuity than commission. They're basically the same thing when you're calculating, and they're similar in ways. But let's go ahead and answer this question. Commissions, gratuities, and simple interest. Make sure you're saying simple interest because there is compound interest and there's other interest. We only discuss simple interest. Are all ways that a person can earn money. People earn commissions and gratuities for doing work of some kind. Simple interest is money that a bank may give you if you have an account at that bank. Okay. So commissions and gratuities and simple interest are all ways that a person can earn money. People earn commissions and gratuities. Commission is usually for like salespeople. If they sell so much, they get a percentage of those sales. Gratuities, again, those are the tips for, so commissions and gratuities for doing work of some kind. Simple interest is money that a bank may give you if you have an account at that bank. So a savings account, checking account, the CD, whatever kind of account you have there, they typically give you some sort of interest. All right, so on to the regular review. So using what you have learned to complete these problems, at the end of January, Garrett had $176 in his savings account. By the end of February, he had $217. To the nearest percent, what is percent change in the amount of money in Garrett's account? So basically you're taking let me just make sure that I'm telling you this correctly because my brain's not working. Okay. So basically what you want to do is you want to take 217 minus 176 to figure out how much we've gone up. So this becomes 1, that is 1114. So we've increased $41 over that month. And then you're going to take 176 and divide it by 41. And when you calculate that out, you get about 23%. I will allow you to use calculators tomorrow, so please make sure you bring calculators. I know I didn't share that yet, but you may use calculators tomorrow. I do not have any at the school, so please make sure that you bring one. The price of a new drone is $289. Sales tax is 9%. What is the total cost of the drone in dollars, including tax? Record your answer on the right on the grid, then fill in the bubbles. No matter how many times I do these videos, I can always tell who watches them and who doesn't. On the test, you do not have to fill this in, okay? Ignore it. Cross it out if you want. If you want to fill it in, go for it. You don't have to. All right, so basically what you're doing is you're taking $289 times 0.09. Remember, this goes, so we have 9, and we're dividing it by 100. So it's going 1, 2, so 0.09. I'm just going to do this on the calculator just to simplify. So we have 2601. So we have 289 plus 2601. So we have $315.01. So basically what you do, sorry, I didn't realize you couldn't see that. Basically what you do is you put the values in these boxes. So I have $315.01, and then you fill in the bubbles. So this is a 1, this is a 0, decimal, 5, 1, 3. All right, number 3. The owner of a game shop plans to survey a sample of game players to find the most popular kind of game, which is the best way the manager could select a random sample of game players. Okay, so let's go through this very carefully. All right, so we survey every customer who buys a game card. So that doesn't work because you're not surveying people who aren't buying a game card. B, survey every third customer who buys a video game. Again, you're ignoring all of those people who aren't purchasing anything. C, survey every fifth person who walks by his store on the street. This could work. It's not going to, mostly because you're not guaranteed that these people are actually going to be game players. Survey every 10th customer at his store. So everybody who walks in, you're grabbing that 10th person, so that would be the correct answer. All right, number 4, the box plot, or as I also refer to it as a box and whisker. The box plot shows the number of minutes Shayla and Roderick spent practicing the guitar. Which statement describes the data? Select all the correct answers. So I know we didn't spend a whole lot of time on this, but I will go through it again. The interquartile range for Shayla is 25. So the interquartile range is the box inside. So here you have 50 on the outside, 25 on the inside. 50 minus 25 is 25. That one is correct. The interquartile range for Roderick is 35. So if I'm looking at just the box, I have 40 here and 30 here. 40 minus 30 is 10. That is not correct. The difference in medians is 5. So the middle one right here is our median. This is 40 and this is 35. So 40 minus 35 is 5. That one is correct. The difference in the medians is 15. Well, if it's 5, it can't be 15, so that's not correct. The difference in the medians is 0.2 times the interquartile range for Shayla's data. We haven't talked about this too much. So basically, you'd be taking the median divided by the interquartile range. That one is correct. All right, number 5, decide if the percent change for each of the situations is between 40 and 50%. Choose yes or no for each of the situations. The number of students increased from 11 to 19. So we have an increase of 8. 8 is 8 out of 11. Let's do that really quick. 8 divided by 11 is equal to 72. So that one is not between 40 and 50%. A $25 shirt is on sale for $13. If we take 13 and divide it by 25, that is 52%. But if we're taking the amount that we're taking off is 12, is 48. So that one is a yes. A puppy's weight increases from 8 to 11. So we did 8 over 11 already. That was 72%. That is not correct. A sunflower grows from 13 inches to 26 inches. That one's 50% exactly. It's not between it, so you want something less. So this one's actually no. If there was an example like this on the test and you put yes, I would accept it. Last page. Okay, Brady and Gregory own different smoothie shops. Oh, it's kind of dark in here. They both survey a random sample of customers about their favorite smoothie ingredients. The results are shown in the table. What inference can Brady make about the percent of his customers who consider bananas their favorite smoothie ingredient? What inference can Gregory make? Show your work. Okay, so basically you're taking this value, you're going to add all of these up. So I'm just going to do a quick total. And I'm going to do it on here quick. 147 plus 48 is 45 is equal to 240. And then 89 plus 19 plus 17. Okay, so always find your total because that's going to help you out. So 125. So I just added an extra box down here with my totals. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your sample and divide it by your total and then multiply it times 100. So I have 147 divided by 240 times 100, and that's going to give me my percentage. So 147 divided by 240, oops, is equal to 0.6125, and then I want the percentage, so I'm going to multiply times 100, so 61.25, and that is for Brady. And then we'll do Gregory, so we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to do 89 divided by 125 times 100, 89 divided by 125 is equal to 0.712 times 100, 71.2. So what we can infer is that even though Brady has a larger number of people getting banana, Gregory actually has a larger percentage of people who prefer the banana. Or basically just that Brady and for Gregory, it's only 1.2% prefer banana. Excuse me. All right, last question. Your Ride and Nextcar are ride-sharing apps. So Uber, Lyft, same thing. Your Ride surveys a random sample of 25 of its app users about how long they waited for their last ride. Nextcar does the same with a random sample of 25 of its app users. Which apps users have less variability in their wait times? Use a measure of variability to explain your reasoning. Show your work. So if you remember, we have that bell curve. So this one has that nice bell curve. This one out here, we talked about outliers. This one's an outlier. So all of this stuff is clustered right here. And then I have this one random one way over there. So you can say something like, so if we look at from here to here, 12 to 6, that's only 6 minutes. If we're looking at here to here, 12 to 1, that's 11 minutes. Really, whatever you want to argue, you can. You can say that Nextcar, the wait times, create a normal variance. Your Ride is more clustered. They have less wait time. Nextcar has a greater wait time. Anything that you want to say that kind of explains these two graphs is fine. We could create a box plot. We could create a whole bunch of other stuff and compare it that way. But as long as you're kind of describing the data, you're fine. Please let me know what questions you have. Remember to bring your calculators, bring your reviews, and I will see you tomorrow.